It's been a long time coming, but Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is almost here and opening up worldwide. So let's talk about the domestic, aka the US box office number predictions, and the low end and the high end, and why it's falling below Guardians 2. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is officially upon us, and most people will be watching it either right now internationally, or depending on where you live, you might have already seen it, and or you're waiting for it to open up in the United States. Now, of course, box office is a measurement of success that everybody uses. Previously, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 opened up with 146 million in its opening weekend, and the original with 94 million. So right now, we are looking at Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and we are looking at anywhere between 100 and 120 million. So multiple reasons are being attributed to this. Rotten Tomatoes reviews, general superhero fatigue is being brought up. Also, if we look back at the hype for Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, a lot of people say that naturally those films were doing better because they were building up and slowly, speeding up towards the giant Avengers crossover, which I think personally, all of these things are to be considered and very valid. Now, when we're looking at this and looking at 100 to 120 million, this means low end is 100, high end is 120. So Disney more than likely, if they're going to keep up their tradition with what they do, they typically do about 15-20% less than the low end. So internally, they're probably looking, let's say, at 85 to 90 on the highest end, which sounds pretty reasonable. Again, it would keep it in line then with the original, which blew away expectations, and the sequel, which overperformed. Now, let's say this thing does 120 million. Well, it's the high end and it's doing better than anybody predicted. Anything over 120 is seen as it's exactly what you think. It's a Hail Mary. Oh my God, nobody predicted this. Now, according to all reports, the marketing for Guardians 3 is substantially less than 2, and they only spent 200 million total on the film, which means that this could honestly be a cause and effect. And since they're not spending as much advertising as the second one, this might make sense in regards to why it's making less. But also consider all the other things I mentioned about fatigue, scores, and all this. So I think by the time Friday afternoon and then Saturday morning is officially in, we're going to sort of have a bigger idea of how this does, whether it overperforms, underperforms, or whatever. So we'll talk about that soon, but the numbers are looking about on par with what some people predicted, and we'll see what happens.